Hola. Hello.
I know most people, most everybody, as we just discussed, know you, of you, heard of you, seen you, but just in case, why don't you do me a favor and just introduce yourself really quick?
Okay. Dean Costa. Been recruiting, staffing, sourcing for over 20 years. Worked for Lockheed Martin. Speak at different conferences. Try to stay on top of what's going on out there in the industry and share knowledge so that you all don't get stuck doing what I had to do. Figure it all out on your own. So that's it. Am I supposed to show my screen?
No.
Good.
Can you
Don't
see
worry.
us, Christy Lee? Christy Lee is here and she said she had to join today. Hashtag Dean fan for life.
Oh, cool. Well, hey, Christy. Are you related to Sarah Lee? No, I'm joking. That's
So
me
just
joking.
as a
I
friendly reminder, as you can tell, obviously, this is a live show. So we have the live Q&A for everybody to ask questions. And we're just going to go through some stuff with Dean because he's our favorite tool guy. Well, and I'm the favorite tool girl, I hope, maybe. Make sure that when you're asking questions, you can ask them on Twitter. You can ask them here at hashtag our daily, and we will make sure and get those questions answered for you. So jumping right into it, we, excuse me, we've just gone through a lot of different tool updates. We're seeing a lot of financial backing with a lot of tools. Do you have a favorite tool that you work with?
yes, I do. Hire tool.
And
Uh,
why?
I like it for a plethora of reasons. Number one is the total embodiment of all the things it can do. A lot of tools out there, it's like they are like contact out. Pretty much all it does is find contact info. Okay, great. Um, or you got ATSs, or you have a tool that'll scrape. Hierarchical does all of that. It has Boolean building. It has an AI. I mean, literally, I just the other day put in what I wanted, walked away, and came back. I had 300 candidates with contact info, with analytics, telling me whether they're looking at it, how much money they're making, all that good stuff. And it doesn't just do LinkedIn; it can search pretty much anywhere, and it finds contact info. And so that's one of the reasons I like it. It's what I call a complete sourcing solution. And the other reason I like it so much is because they're not staying stagnant. Literally every single day, or at least every couple of days, they're doing something to make it better, to improve on it. In fact, I just got an email yesterday with a list of things that they've just in the last week changed. Six new things this last week they've updated, and they've got a list of 5 or 6 more they're going to do for next week. Things they want to add, things they want to do better. And that's something I like because a lot of times when you have these tools, like I'll use Contact Out as my example, it's pretty much been the way it's been forever. They haven't, this is it. They haven't added anything. They haven't said it's going to do this. It's just that's what it is. Or better yet, Connectifier's social finding tool. That's it. That's all it does. It's been like that for 6 months.
Yeah.
This this tool this tool Hierarchical just got done updating it so that instead of being limited to 300 people in the AI search, now you can do as many as 10,000. They just got through changing it to where you do a search, and if you want, and it gives you the top whatever number you pick. Say you pick 300, you pick the top 300, but you want more. Instead of having to rerun the search and not get duplicates, you just push a button and it'll give you more. And that's something I really appreciate. I like it when tools aren't stagnant; they are willing to go above and beyond, and the people who represent them are very active in our industry, and that's something I like. They're always writing blogs or commenting or trying to do things. So I like it. I mean, now it's my favorite tool, but the one thing I've learned over my lifetime and career is that a tool is great. Two tools is even better.
Right.
So if you combine Hierarchical, let's say you use Hierarchical to do an X-ray into LinkedIn, and you get all your nice pretty results, and then you use another cool tool, data miner, and you pull the LinkedIn URLs from it, and then you put those URLs into a CSV and upload it into Hierarchical and come back in an hour. Guess what you're going to have? Emails, phone numbers, profiles, whether they're looking or not, salaries on all of them, all from a URL.
Well, you just brought up something that I think is important because, by the way, thank you, Vanessa Wilson. She said that she loves the room, which is funny. Me and Dean always talk. We talk video chat a lot, and it's almost like my kitchen. Like I feel like it's a room in my house. But you brought up something important because with all that was going on with LinkedIn and how they implemented the new user terms, they announced it way back when, but now it's gone to effect. Vanessa Wilson wanted to know, how do we start to maneuver around the new LinkedIn user terms?
First of all, you don't talk about it because Big Brother is listening and watching. Trust me. There was a workaround for LinkedIn that somebody was dumb enough to post in LinkedIn of all places. Guess what happened the next day? It didn't work anymore. So you got to be careful. LinkedIn is paying attention. That said, they're not on this, I
Yeah,
hope. Um,
let me check really quick.
yeah, you got to be careful the tools you work with. Hierarchical has an agreement with LinkedIn. That's number one. LinkedIn is owned by Microsoft, and guess who uses Hierarchical? Microsoft. So it's kind of like LinkedIn can't touch a tool that Microsoft's using since Microsoft, the whole seven separations from Kevin Bacon thing.
Yep.
So they're good. You got to be careful of the tools that are out there and what you're using. The thing I've noticed in reading it and in looking at what they're doing is they're picking on the tools that work on LinkedIn. As an example, Hunter. Hunter actually puts a little thing on the LinkedIn page that you have to press to open. Do that. Well, that's a no-no.
Yep.
Um, so that will not that I don't use Hunter on that page anyway. I have other tools that can get, and Hunter really only found work emails, and so, and I'm not saying Hunter's bad. I like Hunter, but I don't use it on LinkedIn. So you got to kind of be careful and kind of pay attention. And what I do, I'm very big. I have a lot of extensions, a lot,
No,
hundreds.
no way.
Um, and I don't keep them all active. I only keep a small handful active, and then I use other tools that can allow me to create extension lists. Basically, say, okay, these are LinkedIn, these are Facebook, these are this, these that, and then I just activate and deactivate as I need to. It's real quick, and so by doing that, I minimize the number of extensions I'm using on LinkedIn. And then by doing it, it allows me to quickly go in and out and not have to play that game to where, like Hunter, can't
Yeah,
use it on LinkedIn because it'll get me into trouble, but I can use it on other sites so I can quickly activate and deactivate. So you just got to be smart, but you just got to look at what is it giving you. Some of these tools, I don't want to name names, they only give you a work email. Well, good Lord,
we
good
can find
Lordy.
that easy.
There are other tools that can do that. Heck, I can do that on my own. I mean, I have on my YouTube page a email finding methodology that I created that 95% of the time finds me some type of email, whether it's work or personal. And so now it takes time. And that's the other thing people need to understand about these tools. Shannon Pritchard wrote a article about it, and other people have. Tools are not meant to replace skills. They're meant to augment skills. As an example, I know Boolean backwards, forward, left, right, up, down. I can create a Boolean string probably just as quick off the top of my head as most tools can do. But because I know that, I now don't mind using these tools to make it quicker. So let's as an example. Hydro can create a complete Boolean string to find an Android person in literally 3 seconds. Push the button saying Android and it's done. I can create it. Might take me 10 seconds. And you're like, well, that's only 7 seconds. You're right, 7 seconds. But think about it. If I do 100 Boolean strings a day, that's 700 seconds. That's 15 minutes. I can do a lot in 15 freaking minutes. So that's 15 minutes of my life back. I do that Google search and I find a bunch of people on LinkedIn, but no contact info. I could find them. It would probably, for 100 people, it'd probably take me 1,000 minutes. So that's roughly 15 hours. Or I could just stick in the hierarchy and let hierarchy do it in an hour and come back later and have my 15 hours to do something else. Tools are meant to save you time, keep you organized, and make things easier and quicker, not to replace your basic skills. So before you go jumping into using tools, learn Boolean, learn X-raying, learn the basics. And don't forget the most important tool that there is, your brain.
Yeah,
So I kind of strayed a little bit, and I apologize,
it's okay.
but I had to get that in there because that's something that's been kind of eating at me because people.
Well, we've been talking about that for years now
Yep.
because all of the tools are built from, they're really taking basic sourcing tools and they're automating them and putting them into a program fashion. But,
Yep.
we're all just one bad day. The first time, right before they launched the API, none of the sourcing tools worked. They just didn't. Do you remember? It was a couple years ago, and everybody was in a panic. But it's funny. Tom Bolt's here. Hi, Tom. And I appreciate him. He said, LinkedIn tools are like Fight Club. The first rule of LinkedIn tools is that you don't talk about LinkedIn tools, which is the
Exactly.
truth. As
The
soon as
only one.
everybody loves one, it'll get eaten up, or it
Oh yeah.
ceases.
Well, I mean, just this year, off the top of my head, mind you, Numera, Candidate AI, both bye bye, and those were two of the better ones out there. Now, again, it's not that you can't talk about. You got to be careful which ones you talk about. As an example, you could talk about Hotjo because they have an agreement. You could talk about Hiring Solve. They have an agreement. Um, Talking about the ones that may not have an agreement, that's a different ball game. So you just got to kind of be careful what ones you're talking about and what ones you're not talking about and how you're talking about them.
Absolutely.
Um, and the last thing you want to do is talk too loudly. And that's why, I mean, I have a lot of LinkedIn tools that I've discovered that are newer just in the last week or so, but I'm hesitant to write or talk about them too much because of that exact reason. Because I know if I do, then others are gonna, or if even if I don't, others might. But either way, if we talk too much, LinkedIn's gonna say, "Oops, slap, no." For now. Now, here's a newsflash for those of you that aren't aware. There's a company on the East Coast suing LinkedIn. And if they win, LinkedIn ain't gonna be able to go after anybody anymore. Now, why are they suing LinkedIn? Well, here's the deal. They're a scraping type contact information tool. They're suing LinkedIn because LinkedIn's trying to shut them down, and they're suing because according to the user agreement for us, we go on there to make our information visible and usable to anybody. If we don't want it, we say private. Them not allowing these tools to work is prohibiting it being visible and usable by others, except by LinkedIn, which then makes them a monopoly.
Right.
So there's this big lawsuit, and if they win, it changes everything. My guess, they're going to get a backdoor deal where they're going to get permission to keep their tool running, but not have it officially a case. So this way, others won't be tempted to do the same thing. Because if they lose a lot. Personally, I think they're idiots because there's an easier way to solve their problem than this. It's real simple. Yes, fine, the regular basic LinkedIn you can do all this with, but you still can't see everybody. You can only see that with a recruiter account or a sales account or whatever, and those you have to pay for. So what's the difference? Okay, fine, a percentage of what you've got we'll be able to see, 65%. Great, unless you
Sometimes that's all
navigate.
you need. I mean,
Yeah, well, that's true, but my point is 65%, but that means there's 35% out there. You guarantee there are enterprise level customers, a lot of them, that are willing to pay for that 35% because that's the 35% that other recruiters aren't touching.
that's right. Those are the fun ones. Those are the ones that's the one that I like. I mean,
Now,
one of the things is a challenge is that, you know, we don't want to all see the same candidates.
well, and you know what? That's recruit. I hate to say this, people are going to probably smack me for this one. We see all the candidates. That's the recruiter's fault because they all do things exactly the same way.
Right.
Example A. Did you know that 95% of all recruiters, when they do a search in LinkedIn and they get more than 10 page results, don't look beyond page 10? Why? They seem to think that LinkedIn brings it back in order who's best. Wrong. It's
No,
just a matter of how many times the words appear in the damn profile. Here's
that's right.
something for you. Did you know if you get 40-page result that the last person on page 40 is probably just as qualified, in matter of fact, maybe even more qualified than the first person on page one? Just because the
That's right.
word doesn't appear in the profile enough doesn't mean they're not qualified. But all recruiters, or 95% of them, start at the beginning and only go through the first 10, which is the most ridiculously stupidest thing I've ever said in my life. I usually start at page 40.
Yeah, me too. Because those aren't getting touched.
No, they're not getting touched. They're not getting looked at.
No love.
Um, yeah, none. And I'm going to be honest with you, and this is another thing that for those of you that are LinkedIn lovers, let me ask a question. You have a choice. I'm not even picking on LinkedIn. You have two places you can go. One, yeah, you can go there. You have to contact them there. You get about 20% reply rate, and they've got let's say 1 million people with only about 70% of them that are real people and the other 30% are not, or multiple sites. Or you can go to another site where you can search, you can find people. Now you can find contact info. There isn't as many duplicates. And there's 3 million people. And
Yep.
at least 99% of the people on this site are on this site. Which one would you go to? You go here. This is Facebook. This is LinkedIn. This is where
Yep.
you want to be. And in case you're wondering, I know everybody's thinking, well, yeah, you can find people on it, but how do you contact them? Hiretual will find you contact information on Facebook. Not to mention, 85% of the people on Facebook, if you take that username, they have an email address associated with it, and it's one of the 26 most commonly used ones. In most cases, Gmail, sometimes Hotmail, sometimes whatever. All you got to do is stick it in Excel, let it make all the different emails, stick that into a tester, and let the 3 or 4 come out that are good, and email them. One of them is that person. Now, how do I know that? Because I've tested it on probably hundreds of thousands of people, and it works.
Right.
So, but
Right.
that takes so much time. I go, okay, then keep going to the same place as everybody else and finding the same people and keep getting the same 20% I reply to your IMs. And I mean, those are your choices. Take a little extra time or don't get the replies you need.
And
Kind of
by the
simple.
way, everybody, just as a friendly reminder, if you believe it or not, we only have 11 minutes. So make sure you put your questions down here. And again, if you see me looking down, I am checking Twitter to see if there are any questions there so we can get those. Of
That's
course, if
good because I'm
you,
not.
I know, I'm like, I keep going. But to go ahead
Oh, I
and,
thought you were not. I thought you were nodding off.
what? No, I wasn't,
Yeah.
no. But I'm
Sorry.
looking to make sure and checking those. I wanted to bring up something, and I think we both need to clarify this a little bit. D. Wallet Johnson, thanks for being here,
I
D.
know.
Said, if we can't talk about them, how do we find out? Is there a secret handshake? And I think referring to LinkedIn tools, and it's not that we can't use them. It's don't get too attached to them, or else they'll be gone. Wouldn't you say that's more of the
That's
clarification?
that's probably the biggie is one, don't get too attached. No, they may be gone. Number two, don't if someone finds one and then wants to put it on Facebook, hey, I found this, great. Leave it. Don't say, oh, well, let me share it here, here, go, 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 go. You know why? That's when LinkedIn gets starts looking at them.
Yeah,
And whatever you do, don't post it on LinkedIn.
yeah.
Now, for those of you wondering, how do you, if you don't know, what do you do? Well, I can name a few things. Ask Jackie. Ask me. Look on Product Hunt. Look on, what's that one by Carmen Hudson where they have a list of tools?
Yeah, recruit. I'm gonna find it and send it out.
I have it. I just didn't want to
Yeah,
pop up I mean, I have it on my little
obviously.
handy dandy find it quick thing. There are sites that list it. My web page has a list of tools constantly. I usually will do a video on my YouTube page for it, but I that's it, done. I don't. What happened with the one I'm talking about in particular, and it was a tool that allowed you to view in different operating systems like older versions of Windows or older versions of Chrome, and it worked. What happened was somebody posted it in LinkedIn, then it got posted on Facebook, then it got
Yep.
posted 4 or 5 more times on Facebook, then it got
Yes.
tweeted, then it got sent out in some other places, and that's when LinkedIn decided to do something about it. If it would have
Yes.
stayed just maybe one time in Facebook, they would have said, okay, whatever. But because you kept pushing, kept it being known, not you, just people in general,
Yeah.
that's when it became a big deal. So you pay attention, join Facebook groups, and listen, ask people. I get probably 500 emails or calls a week. Dean, do you know a tool or that can do this? Do you know a Boolean string that can do this? Or do you know a really good message that will get a good reply rate? Or I mean, contrary to popular belief, like I said before, I'm not just a tool guy. I've been a full cycle recruiter. There's pretty
That's right.
much nothing in there haven't I haven't done. I'm not gonna say I'm good at it, but I haven't done. You guys can decide if I'm good at it or not. But
I think your boss
so
will tell us if you're good at it or not.
well, the fact I've been here for 5 years, I've won a few awards, I've gotten a pay raise every year. I think I'm good there.
That
And,
also
and-
means that drinks are on Dean.
yeah, right. But what I was gonna say is, you got to you just got to be careful with them. You want to let it be known, but you don't want to what's the word? You want to put it in their faces, basically,
Yeah,
and
because
that's what it is.
that's what happens to all of them. They either purchase them or sue them, or
Yeah,
make it difficult to work.
or they
Um,
come up with some type of an agreement. There are a few they've actually decided to work with, which I thought was very
yeah,
recruiter
recruiter.
hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have it here. There are a few. Recruiter Hunt, Recruiter Stack also does tools. Um,
And recruiting tools.
yeah, and recruiting tools. Obviously, I said you are recruiting tools. Last I checked. Product
Yeah.
Hunt, Product Hunt. I mean,
Oh,
all three.
you brought up something, and I know we're running out of time. I want to
I
get
can
to
go over.
this one. Well, well, of course we will. We'll have to because there's a bunch of questions we want to get answered, and we'll see what we can do about that.
I,
But
I'm actually off from today, so I can go as long as
you
we need
are
to. Although
okay.
I get every other Friday off.
You do?
Yeah.
Are those called summer hours? I've been seeing a lot of
No,
those.
no, I'm on a what do they call that? I work
410s.
7:10, 7. Well, no, it's 5:10, 4:10 basically.
Got it.
Which is what's 90 hours. It's not really 90. Not reality is it doesn't matter. I work more than 90 hours in 2 weeks
Of
anyway.
course.
But yeah, and so we get Fridays off. But
Now,
my boss is really cool. Pretty much whenever I want to be off, I'm off.
well,
I get
Dan Lukes, I appreciate you being here. And he brought up, I've been using Data Miner and Recipe Creator quite a bit lately, but I frequently run into issues selecting the right mix to pull the data I'm looking for. Is there a good resource to learning more about creating recipes? And really
uh,
quick, explain to everybody what those are, just an overview.
well, a recipe is something you
We have
use.
a video about that actually on
Yes, we do. There's a
me, I'll send
video.
it.
We have a video. There's a video on my YouTube page. Data Miner itself has videos on how to do it. I was going to make a smart aleck comment about a recipe being in a cookbook, but I guess I won't now since we already
Yeah,
got past that.
yeah, let's not.
Um, a recipe is basically where you design the scrape, where you tell it what elements you want and where you want it. Think of it as directions. Normally, you have to be able to program to do it. That's how I used to have to do it. Data created the recipe creation tool, which makes it so that you do not have to know how to program or understand it to do it. But there is trial and error with it because each page is a little different, and then sometimes pages get redesigned, so a scrape that worked then won't work now, and you have to redo them. Um, I would look at the videos, and if you're still not sure and still not 100%, email me. I'll arrange some time to share my screen and I'll show you. It is a bit of a trial and error, to be quite honest, sometimes because it's all about the web, and it's not the recipe creator, it's the problem. It's about the website and the way it's designed that it makes it harder. Sometimes the element you want to view is several layers deep and you have to go several layers deep to find it. And I can show you how to do that if you don't already know. But try the videos first. If not, email me. Now, this is where somebody's going to say, well, what's your email, Dean? Really? You're all recruiters. You can't find my email.
Yeah, don't give it to him. That's it. That's
Go.
going to be the test.
Y'all should have no problem finding my email. Trust me. If you do,
We have
might want to
people.
think about a new job. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, I make it pretty easy to find me just so I can help people. But yeah, I'll be more than happy to sit down. You aren't the first one to ask that question. In fact, I got 5 emails sitting in my email right now about the same exact thing.
It's a tough.
Um,
It's a great tool, but it takes a little bit of doing. It takes a little bit of
but that's
time.
if you even have to. You got to remember there are pre-created
Mhm.
recipes. So before you go creating a recipe, make sure there's not one there already. Because I was about ready to create a recipe for something, and before I did, I said, wait a minute, let me check. And sure enough, there was a recipe there, and there was a bunch of them. I said, okay, which one's the one that gets what I want? And I found the one that I want, ran it, saved it. So now if it goes away, it doesn't matter. I still have it, and I'm happy. I don't believe in recreating the wheel. If there's one there that does what I want it to do and works, I'm gonna just run it and save it. If there isn't, then I'll make one. Like Big Brothers, they're not there anymore. That's the agreement Data Miner has with Big Brother. And if you don't know who Big Brother is, y'all shouldn't by now, since I mentioned it earlier. They're always watching. They're the ones that keep turning off the tools that work, or getting rid of them, or buying them. So you guys should know by now. Um, you can't do that anymore. So I had to create my own for that, for both regular and recruiter. Um, but you can't share them. You have to make your own. That's the thing. But that's the agreement. Otherwise, they were going to go after data miner, and I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad data miner did that. That's actually one of the reasons they created the recipe tool. That and the
Yep,
fact that I kept telling them, people who can't program, can't make recipes, please figure something out. And they
sure can.
finally did. Because I'll be honest with you, I'm so glad that doing it by programming takes a lot longer than that recipe creator does.
Yeah, and they have a full video. It's like a 30-minute video like teaching
Yeah.
how to code for that.
And if that doesn't work, you can get a hold of me. If not me, then Ben. They have a on Facebook. They have a Facebook group, and they you can post questions there, and Ben will answer them, or I'll answer them, or some of the other power users will answer them. There's a group of us that are power users, so one of us will answer them usually. If you don't get an answer within a couple days, then email me because while I am on Facebook and I do check it quite regularly, there are a lot of groups I'm in, and I can't always pay attention to all of them at once. I do have
Now,
an actual job.
well, so, yeah. I was gonna say, I think sometimes your job is calling me. We seem to spend a lot of time. We
And
can't
that's
get.
part of my job.
That's right. Audra Knight is here, and we love Audra, of course. And she said, wanted to know with the new. I love her very much. With the
I
new,
didn't say I didn't. I was just going, I know who she is.
she's very lovable. She said with the new TNS with LinkedIn, they say they're going to suspend accounts if you connect with too many people you don't know. Do you think they'll do this for people with recruiter accounts? Because that seems crazy, and it does seem crazy for sure.
Okay, so first of all, we need to separate some things here. If you connect with too many people you don't know, well, if you're connected with them, by definition, you know them now. Maybe not well, but you know them or you wouldn't be connecting. Now, if you mean try to connect with too many people you don't know, where they say no, thank you, or they delete it, they've always done that. No, and by the way, no, not in Recruiter because that's what Recruiter's for. You're paying to basically get around that. That's only in basic. Um, but if you're already connected to them, then by definition you know them. So why would that be a problem?
Yeah, right.
It's only reaching out and saying, "Hey, I'd love to. Hey, I saw your profile. It looks good. I'd love to connect with you." And blah 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 blah. Whatever you guys write, whatever anybody writes. Um, yeah, I mean, I know for a fact that if you send too many and they get too many complaints, they will suspend you. They've always done that, though. That's not new. I actually got suspended once back in the day in 2009. I got suspended for one day because I sent out five and two people said they had no clue who the hell I was. And I contacted them and said, okay, so I got two people that said they didn't know who I was. Did it occur to you that maybe they're not telling the truth, they're just being jerks? Because I actually did know them, and I proved it. I actually sent them email exchanges between me and them,
Tell them.
and they unsuspended me. The only time I've been, and I never got suspended again. And then I called those two people and ripped them a new one, and come to find out that they didn't bother to pay attention that it was me. They thought it was, believe it or not, there are other people named Dean Costa, scary, I know, and they thought it was somebody else. They didn't realize it was me, and it was partially my fault because I was using a VPN, so the location said another country.
Hong Kong or something like that.
Actually, not too far away from Hong Kong, to be honest, but we won't go there. Um, so that's part of the reason. But yeah, they're going to if you try to connect to too many people that you don't really know. The easiest way to get around that is don't use the standard, hey, I saw your profile, I'd like to connect with you. Actually write something personalized.
Yeah.
98% of people will not complain. They may not reply, they may not connect with you, but they won't complain if you personalize it. If you
Yeah,
don't
don't
personalize
copy
it and
paste
it
it
looks,
either.
don't
Don't use
what?
a copy. Don't use a copy paste personalization email because people
Yeah,
find out about that.
yeah. Just personalize it. It's not hard to personalize. I mean, you look on a LinkedIn profile. Oh, they like pro football. Great. Hey, I saw that you like pro football. I'm a Seahawks fan. I assume you're a fan of this based on where you live. I'd love to connect with you so we can talk NFL.
If you
Boom,
get
done.
a chance with Dean and we don't have time, Dean, don't start the conversation. I know you will, but ask him about how he recruited using a comic book one time. It's a
Oh,
great story. I said don't say it. I know you want to. We have to get
I
through. We
do
were 2 minutes.
actually.
I know you do. Um,
It's a great story.
it's a great story. It's a freaking 30-minute story. All right, Christy. She said she's in the scientific field. Christy Lee, not related to Sarah Lee, or maybe she is. I don't know. So
If she is, she wouldn't be a recruiter. She'd be sitting down in Puerto Rico with a Mai Tai or something, having a good
yeah,
old time.
absolutely, with
Because
a
she'd be
drink with an
rich.
umbrella in it.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
She said that she's part of the scientific field and she looks at the exec level and wanted to know about other tools besides HireTool and besides LinkedIn, some of the other ones. I will tell you, I used IC Watch today. If you go to recruitingtools.com, that's a freaking badass tool. It's a little creepy.
I
It's
just did a video for us on that.
I posted the video today.
Oh, is that the one you post? See, I
Yeah.
don't.
Well, anyway,
I just do
I
the
posted.
videos. I don't pay attention to everything else.
I talk to Dean every other day. I forget that we're on live. I posted it today. That one is a great tool that can help with the scientific executive level for sure.
Oh yeah.
What are some other tools? I know usually Lucia's your third tool. What's
Well,
your
Belushi only finds contact information. So the question for her is, are we looking about to find people or to find contact information or both? Because there's a difference here. If we're talking about to find people, that's one Lucia isn't going to help you out. Lucia only finds contact info. It's like Contact Out, Hunter, and most of these other tools. If we're talking about actually sourcing, that's a different ballgame. And yes, you already know about Hajo. She just told you about IC Watch. It would help if I knew a little bit more about what you picked an industry. It'd be help to know a little more within the industry what we're talking about.
Yeah, because we have the scientific trial source that we talked about last
Yeah, I
month or the
mean,
other month. So that one would help.
if you're looking for people who do medical trials and stuff like that, which technically falls under that arena, there's a um, there's a tool in Google Sheets. It's an add-on that actually where you could just put the type of trial you're looking for, whether it was academic or professionals, and it'll give you a list of all of them along with the people who ran it, along with their contact info. So the question is, what
And
within
D,
that
that'll help
field?
you too for nursing. Yeah, that will help D. She was asking about nursing. She said she'll take it offline and send you an email.
Sure.
Um, so I know really quick, um, we're out of time. I know we went long, but don't worry because we have a webinar coming up with Dean. We're going to go over some more of those tools. Vanessa Wilson said I need to get better at using GitHub and Stack Overflow. We have videos on that. A million and articles.
Hierarchical searches both of those.
So add that to your list. Um, D. Wallach Johnson asked if we've used Lucia. Yes, is the answer. We'll talk about them too.
Isn't Lucia
But
sponsoring the webinar?
yes, and we love them.
I use
Tell them
Lucia.
about your experience really quick. Yeah, I know you use Lucia. Really, listen, Dean, really quick. We're 5 minutes over. Tell them what you think.
About Lucia?
Be honest. Yeah.
I think Lucia is okay. So here's what I will tell you about Lucia. I think Lucia does a pretty good job of finding contact info. I believe there was a recent study done with 10 people, and with 10 people, sorry, my wife, and with 10 tools, and I think Lucia came in fourth. I think
Yeah.
Contact Out came in first by like one over Hierarchal, and then I think it was Hunter, and I believe it was Lucia. Don't quote me on that. I'm going off memory here. So I think Lucia's a
Yep.
pretty good tool. The only thing I would say is this: when you sign up, one of the ways to do it is to sign up with your Gmail, and if you do that, they're going to want to have access to your address book.
Yeah. All of,
I,
but I think they
I
changed part of that.
I did sign up with Gmail, just not with my primary Gmail. I have more than one. My other Gmail has about 5 people in the address book. The primary one has 35,000 or 40,000 or something like that. So I signed up with the other one because I chose to do that. But I've known about Lucia since it first came out. I actually spoke to the people. I actually did video on it, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Wrote about it. It's a good tool. I like it. I find between it, Contact Out, and Hierarchal, I almost always, it's very, very rare I do not find an email or a phone number.
Well, I'll tell you
Now,
what we're going to do because
I have
that
another,
article is
blah, 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 blah,
great.
blah. I have
And
another tool I think I did a video on, which I will be showing on my webinar. That is my next go around. If those three don't find it, this thing will find it and a whole lot more, including every address they've ever had, including everywhere. I mean, it finds everything. It's really scary how much info it finds, and it's free.
by the way, side note, you don't have to connect Gmail anymore. and
Oh,
with
okay. Thank
Lucia,
you.
and they just kicked some other stuff off this past week. Um, and it's been about 6 months you haven't had to connect Gmail. I think we got in initially, so we haven't reinstalled it. But we're going to be talking more about that. I'm going to be sharing that study because I think it's really interesting and
Yeah.
exciting. And at the end of the day, the best part is that we can, we can get the information that you want. Lucia was actually one of the first that could get the phone numbers, which is key. I mean, you
One
can
of the
find
things I
people
really
without that
one of
stuff.
the things I really like about Lucia is though when you're on a profile, it opens if it has something. So you don't even have. I mean, you literally when I go on LinkedIn, I'm looking at stuff. I let it go through its thing, and I look to the right, and if Lucia opens, if it has something, so I
That's what
like
I
that.
like. And it doesn't get in the way. Remember a couple of months ago when we had all of those freaking extensions back before they got killed?
Candidate
Hunter was
AI,
the big
Namera.
pain. Oh my
Well,
gosh. They would all sit there.
Hunter was having problems on LinkedIn for a long time. There was something
Yeah.
about the update they did; it just made conflict. And I stopped using it on LinkedIn, but then they fixed it, and then I looked at it one time just to see if it was fixed, and it was. And don't get me wrong, I still use Hunter. I just don't use Hunter on LinkedIn that way because of LinkedIn's new rules. I just don't want to have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Um, I use Hunter on other sites, and then I use Hunter's API in Blockspring because it's just so simple to put in a bunch of names and the company they work and get all these work emails. Because once I get all these work emails, I can then stick them into a CSV and upload to HireTool, and HireTool will find all the personal stuff for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, another combining tools thing. Which, by the way, soon, I think starting probably next week, I will be doing videos for recruiting tools on combining tools. So a lot of these tools you'll have known about, but
Yeah.
you probably haven't thought about how to combine this tool with this tool with this tool to do something that my son calls sourcing magic. He's writing a series of blog posts about that.
I think
Um,
me and you need to get together too and write some of the updates. We deal with tools all week. I think that that is going to be important. Um,
well,
to
we used to do videos with updates like
yeah,
Keto version 2 or Hydra
but a
version 2,
new
but then
tool comes out like every 5 seconds, and the updates seem to be going fast. There's some of them that we know that we've been promoting. We probably should do that.
yeah,
Okay, I
we probably
forgot we're
should.
online again. Yeah, we'll figure that out. And the ones
Well,
that
that's
don't work
okay.
anymore, we'll do
People
that.
are there's still 20 people that they're doing good. They don't care. They'll I mean I'm like I said I'm good. I'll stay on as long as you guys want. I'm good. Well, within
Well,
reason.
I do want to
I
say
do want to
something
get a
that
haircut.
that's it. Well, there's that. It's your wife's birthday. You got to take care of that.
Yeah, that's tomorrow.
But as a side note, this is important because when Lucia first came out, um, I was skeptical. Part of it was the Gmail thing. There were lots of things going out. We've done a lot of research, and I can say that they are very responsive, kind of like what you were saying before of making sure that they get the tool updated.
Hmm.
They get all the stuff out. They've paid attention to what people were saying. And, I think that if you haven't checked it out, it's something that you need to check out. I've been really impressed with it. But I think it's important because I know that like it's one of those tools that we've been using a lot, and I think that they go head to head with some of the other tools. But I
Well,
think,
I think for everything you got to look at bang for your buck,
yep,
validity, meaning how valid is what they're giving you, and no matter what tool you look at, you got to realize no tool's 100%. There are times that one tool will find something, the other tool won't. And this Lucia Hire tool, all of them, none of them have everything on everybody. It just isn't going to
that's
happen.
right. You have to have
So
like 3 tools at least.
well, for me, like I said, I have three primary, and then I have if they don't find anything, I go to this one new thing which I'll be showing on my webinar. And if it doesn't find anything, which between those I haven't found that to happen yet, then I have other tools. I'll say, okay, it's time to turn on this tool and use Amazing Hiring. It's time to go ahead and use um, Boolean Assistant, see if it can find me an email. It's time to use, assuming I'm on LinkedIn, it's time to try Hunter. It's time to try this tool or that tool. And
Right.
what I mean by emails is I don't mean work emails because I can figure that out on my own. I mean, good Lord Almighty, how hard is it? Oh wow, it's Lockheed Martin. Oh wow, first name dot last name. That's really hard to do. Not hard. So I'm talking about more personalized info.
Yeah.
The one thing I will preface with all of this is don't get caught up in if you find a tool like back in the day when Connectify was big, there were times it would come back and it would not have any contact info, but it would list other social sites. A lot of people would say, "Oh God, nothing else. I give up." But it was always interesting to me that if you press on those other social sites and go there and look at the tools that work on those sites, how all of a sudden email addresses become
Isn't that
available.
funny?
Sometimes it's that site it can't find the info because there's not enough info. Like sometimes these LinkedIn profiles are so minimalized, there's almost
Yep.
nothing there. But they found, ooh, look at that, it's Facebook. Let's go to Facebook. Okay, no, no email. Oh, wait a minute, his personal site. Boom, go there. Up, there's his email. Sometimes you have to follow the breadcrumbs. I mean,
Yeah.
let's get real. We're sorcerers, recruiters. We're supposed to be detectives by nature. Follow the breadcrumbs. Don't just give up. I think part of the problem is a lot of recruiters give up too quick. And I think they give up too quick because I think they just don't want to spend the time or they don't have the time. You're an agency, you don't have a whole lot of time. But the thing to remember is if you're having problem finding that person's emails, everybody else is too, probably.
Yes. You're
You
right.
know, now you could say, well, no, I'll find somebody I can find email quick, but you know what? That means they're probably finding that email quick. So you're probably submitting the same people. Sometimes, you know, I've worked in an agency before, way back in the day. We won't mention when, but I went back to AG for a short time just to do it, um, and I was amazed at the number and there was a situation where you found somebody, you did what you had to do, you submitted them, and you pretty much didn't know. It's kind of like an RPO type of thing. And the first week I kind of just paid attention to what was going on there, and I looked in the ATS a lot, and I was noticing, wow, this is interesting. The same people are getting submitted all the time, and I'm like, hmm. And so I was able to get a hold of someone at that company because I actually knew some people there, and I started asking them to find out for me what percentage of people that get submitted have been submitted before and or are being submitted by multiple places. 90% of the people that they were getting by were being submitted multiple times by different companies and everything. I'm like, okay, so let me ask you a question. Let's say you put it out, and how long do you give them before you actually review people? And they're like, we normally give them about a week, and then we start reviewing whoever's been submitted. I'm like, perfect. So I started doing what I say. I started finding the people that I knew hadn't been being submitted because they couldn't find emails easy. And I started doing my little detective work, found a couple of emails, talked to them, got them ready to go, send them in. I was getting hires left and right. Why? Because these were people that they hadn't seen before. In one case, the hiring manager actually called my boss to say, you know what, I decided to interview and then hire this person. But you want to know the main reason? They were probably only about 90% as good as some of the others, but I've seen all of them. This
Yeah.
was somebody I hadn't seen before. It was new. And 90% of it is good. Matter of fact, that person, this was like 4 or 5 years ago, that person's still working there. So they ended up being more than 90% once they got in and actually worked with them. So I would say quick and easy isn't, you know, there's an old saying that the tortoise beats the hare, you know, slow and steady wins the race. Sometimes that's really true. Now, slow and steady isn't the right word. Perhaps more like um, not
Persistent.
quite speed of light, warp factor 9, not 10, which is 10 speed of light for the Star Trek fans. If anybody's a Star Trek fan, warp 10 is speed of light. Well, it's supposed to be speed of light. Warp 9 is just below speed of light. So instead of warp 10, go warp, yeah, really? Go warp 9 and do something different.
You've
Because,
completely gone off the rails.
no, I'm trying to put in perspective. The recruiters are so busy trying to get it first and be quick and get it done that all they're doing is regurgitating the same things over and over again. Take a step back. Instead of going speed of light, warp 10, go warp 9 and give them something they haven't seen before.
And that being said, we have to log
Long
off.
analogy.
You can hear in the background my family. My husband's a teacher's assistant, and it's summer, and my kids are hungry, so they're like fighting me to get in here. But I do want to say thank you to our sponsor. Lucia was our sponsor, as you can tell. You know, we like the tool. Dean likes the tool. He's completely out of control. So all the thoughts are of his own, but they did sponsor, full disclosure. If you asked about when Dean is doing his webinar, he's going to be doing it on the 29th. Be looking out for emails about that. And I hope that you'll come next week for Recruiting Live because we have Recruiting Animal on. I'm
Oh,
dying.
I might even show up for that one.
I'm
That should
not
be
dying.
interesting.
I know. I mean, honestly, the first time I talked to Animal, I asked if I could get on his show. It was like 2006. In case you didn't know, I am a recruiter. So I called him and he was like, no, because we're mean and we're scary. Look at it. We don't want to hurt your feelings. That was like 10 years ago. So he actually helped me build my recruiting career, and I am ecstatic. I'm a
I,
fangirl.
I was on his show a year or two ago. I can't remember which, and it was really funny because everybody warned me like he warned you. And I got on there, and they had the song I played, Toby Keith, veteran type of song, USA song, and somebody said, "So you decided to come on here? You know we're really mean." I go, "Dude, I'm ex-military. I'll just tell you to f off and move on. I don't care." And he never challenged. It was just cool. He was really nice and never once challenged me,
That's right.
which was cool. He's a really nice guy. I've actually he's one of the Facebook. His page is one of the Facebooks I follow, and he's a really nice guy. Every once in a while, I'll get something. Hey, Dean, what do you think about this and this? So, don't. What I would say about Amel is he ain't quite as scary as he tries to make himself out to be.
He's a great guy.
Yeah,
That
he is.
being said, I appreciate you. You can still ask your questions after this. I'll make sure that Dean gets them. This has been recorded, and you will get an email for, to get that email to you. And thanks a lot, and we'll see you next week. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Yippee! Bye, Dean. Happy birthday to your wife.
All right. Are we done?
Now.